invite people on my show.
So and I deal with this as well with over 500 guests on London Real and super peak performers from every area of life. I mean, I love your show. How do you think you've changed? Like, it's hard to know what you would have been like if you hadn't had these 500 guests. There's no way to speculate on that. But what do you do to make sure? I mean, you can't take, like, let's say each of the 500 people have 10 suggestions. You can't take 5,000 suggestions and automatically incorporate it into your life. How do you decide, okay, this is useful for me, I can practice this, I can try this, I can get better?
I don't think I consciously decide. I think a few years ago, I looked at myself and I said, wait a second, something's going on with you. And, like I said, we had this academy and we were teaching kind of a business accelerator course for a while. And then someone said, Brian, why don't you teach something more about life? And I started looking about all of my habits that I had picked up over the years. And I was like, wait a second. And I deconstructed each one down to the person that came on my show. From Tim Ferriss talking about low media, to someone talking about meditation, to someone talking about gratitude, Mimi and Alex Icon talking about gratitude, and all of these people. And then I deconstructed it. So I think it's subconscious. I think you just pick these things up. But let me tell you a few truisms, James. I have 2 young boys, 2 and a 3-year-old. They would not be born if it wasn't for London Real. Period. There's no way I would have allowed the love and let these people into my life. Last year, I made a movie called Iron Mind where I did an Ironman race, and I confessed about my heroin addiction and overdose in New York City in 2001. I hadn't told my wife in 16 years that information, and now I talk about it freely. I would have never talked about that, and it would have been down inside me as this thing I was holding on to, James, and I don't think I would have been free to fully live my life. So that's another example. I've been sober now for 2 years, haven't had a drink of alcohol. And again, it wasn't like I was completely out of control, but it was like, why am I doing that when I need to be more high performance? So that's the thing. I move every day. I'm a break dancer now. I mean, that's crazy. I'm 48 years old, but I'm literally
51. I'm a breakdancer.
Good man.
And
all right.
I learned in London when I was 12.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, we got to talk. I had Crazy Legs on, the guy from the Bronx.
Yeah. He was in
it's the movie Breaking, right?
Yeah, he wasn't in Breaking. He was in the other one that took place in New York City.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah, it was that opening scene at the dance club.
What was the breakdancing movie that was in New York City? Beat Street, yeah.
He was also in Flashdance.
Yeah, he was in Flashdance.
When she did the backspin at the last move, he was in the beginning, but he put a wig on, and he was the girl in Flashdance when she did the backspin.
I did not know that.
Final dance performance.
I think he was in a side. He was in a side scene in Flashdance where she's just walking by.
Yeah, and he's dancing on the street.
The Rocksteady crew was dancing.
Yeah.
He's part of that.
Yeah.
There was Crazy Legs in the so Crazy Legs, and then there was a couple like famous breakdancing names from the Rocksteady.
Another guy
crew.
from the Rocksteady was there as well. Yeah, so I've had him on. A guy named Storm, who's a German breakdancer who kind of brought it all back about 10 years after Rocksteady did it. So yeah, I've been super blessed.
Do you like Poppin' John? He's an LA-based guy, really good at like popping.
No, I mean no, and I'm cool with the popping too. I'm just focused on breaking right now.
Wow, okay, I'm more in the popping than in the breaking.
Popping's good too.
So,
man.
yeah,
Breaking's
most
hard.
people don't make the distinguish the two, but breakdancing's very hard.
Man, it's such a physical thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the floor all the time, but I got a windmill. I got some skills.
I never could get the
Took
windmill
me 3
going.
years to get a windmill. 3 years of training 3 or 4 times a week. So yeah,
All
I mean,
right, now you've inspired me. I'm gonna try to do a windmill.
Yeah.
I tried really hard back then, and I was a kid. I was a teenager. I should have been able to do it, but I couldn't do
it's
it.
so mentally challenging. It doesn't make any sense. You're rotating, everything's flying around. It took me a long time. Again, but that's me. I'm just kind of relentless on that, which can be good with breakdancing, bad with heroin. So, sometimes I don't know when to quit.
Well, that's just it, is that clearly you have an addictive quality to you. And, some people, there's all sorts of things you can get addicted to. Some people, when they're trying to find meaning in their lives and they can't, I think they fall to heroin or other drugs. But then there's so many productive addictions. Doesn't mean those are great. It's not good. Like, you could be addicted to something even healthy for you. You could be addicted to reading, but that might not be unhealthy for your life. Like, for instance, if you're avoiding your family because you're reading too much, that's not a healthy addiction, even though it seems that way. So you always have to be careful. Like, I always notice for myself, if I'm playing, so I get addicted to stupid things, like I'll get addicted to playing chess, but I'll play it 24 hours a day, like 1 minute speed chess on the computer. And I usually I try to be meta aware that, this has slipped into addictive territory. It means I'm avoiding something else in my life. Yeah. Even though everyone else would say, that's so smart, chess. It's not if you're just playing it all day long, 1 minute chess on the computer, and you can't talk to your kids or family or whatever.
Yeah, if you're using it as something to not process feelings or to avoid the real world. Yeah, it can be shopping, sex, Netflix, chess, like you said, or it could be a drug. But if you can just say, all right, what am I doing here? Am I doing this to not be present, to not be with these feelings? So I'm still learning, but there's also healthy addictions and unhealthy addictions for sure, and the unhealthy ones are something I like to avoid.